The vast darkness of space held many secrets, but none as terrible as the mistake the Dominion made when they chose to attack Earth. They thought humans were weak, primitive, and easy prey. They were wrong. Captain James Miller stood at the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship, Retribution, his weathered face illuminated by the soft glow of holographic displays. The last 3 months had changed everything. Humanity had gone from exploring the stars in peace to fighting for its very survival. It began with a simple message: submit or die. The Dominion, an advanced alien empire spanning hundreds of systems, had decided that Earth's territory would make a perfect addition to their collection. They expected humanity to bow down like so many other species before them. Instead, they received humanity's response in the form of a unified declaration of war, signed by every nation on Earth. The first wave of the Dominion attack targeted Earth's major cities. Their energy weapons carved paths of destruction, but they had underestimated human preparedness. Underground bunkers and emergency protocols, originally built for nuclear war, saved millions. While the aliens celebrated what they thought was a crushing victory, humanity was already adapting. Dr. Thomas Reed, lead scientist at the Global Defense Initiative, had spent decades studying theoretical weapons technology. When the Dominion attacked, his theories became humanity's salvation. Within weeks, his team had reverse-engineered captured alien tech and combined it with human ingenuity. The result was the Thor Protocol, a weapons system that could penetrate Dominion shields like they were made of paper. The alien commanders laughed and they intercepted transmissions about human counterattacks. Their arrogance turned to horror when the first human strike force appeared. Led by Captain Miller, Earth's ships emerged from hyperspace directly within the Dominion fleet's formation. The aliens had superior numbers and technology, but humans had something they didn't expect: the determination to survive at any cost. All ships, battle formations, Miller commanded, his voice steady despite the weight of responsibility. Remember Earth. Remember what they did to our homes. Today, we show them why you never corner a human. The battle that followed would be remembered as humanity's first major victory. Human ships, smaller but more agile, danced between the massive Dominion vessels. While the aliens relied on their advanced shields and automated targeting systems, human pilots flew manually, executing maneuvers their enemies' computers couldn't predict. The Thor Protocol proved devastating. Each hit from the human weapons bypassed the supposedly impenetrable Dominion shields, striking directly at their ships' cores. The aliens had never faced an enemy who could hurt them like this, and panic spread through their ranks. Admiral Kane, the highest-ranking human military commander, watched the battle reports from Earth Command with grim satisfaction. The Dominion had expected an easy conquest, but they had awakened something far more dangerous: humanity's collective will to survive and protect their home. As the first day of the counterattack ended, the Dominion fleet retreated in disarray, leaving behind the wreckage of their finest ships. They sent urgent messages back to their empire, warning of the humans' unexpected strength. But it was too late for warnings. Humanity had tasted victory, and more importantly, they had learned. Each captured piece of alien technology was studied, improved, and turned against its makers. The Dominion's greatest advantage, their advanced technology, was becoming their greatest vulnerability. In his quarters that night, Captain Miller wrote in his personal log, "They thought we would be easy prey. They thought we would submit or die. Instead, we have shown them the truth about humanity. We don't just fight to win, we fight to ensure our enemies never threaten us again." The Dominion wanted war. Now they'll learn why that was the worst mistake they could have made. This was only the beginning. As news of the victory spread across Earth, recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers. Factories worked around the clock producing new ships incorporating the hybrid human-alien technology. The entire planet united with a single purpose, not just to survive, but to ensure that no alien empire would ever again think of humanity as easy prey. The war had truly begun, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why you should never underestimate the human spirit of survival. 2 months after humanity's first major victory, the war had entered a new phase. The Dominion no longer viewed Earth as an easy target, now they saw humans as a genuine threat that needed to be eliminated at any cost. In the depths of Mars' underground research facility, Dr. Reed and his team made another breakthrough. They had discovered a fatal flaw in Dominion quantum communications technology. By exploiting this weakness, humanity could not only intercept enemy transmissions but also disrupt their entire command structure. "Look at this," Dr. Reed explained to the military council, pointing to a holographic display. "The Dominion's ships are all connected through quantum entanglement. Break that connection, and their fleet becomes disorganized. They rely too heavily on central control." Admiral Kane nodded grimly. "How soon can we weaponize this?" "We already have," Reed replied. "Project Blackout is ready for deployment." On the front lines, Captain Miller and his crew aboard the Retribution were about to test this new advantage. Intelligence reported that the Dominion was massing their forces for a major assault on humanity's outer colonies. This time, they weren't taking any chances, they had brought 3 times the firepower of their first attack. "All hands, battle stations," Miller's voice echoed through the ship. "This is what we've trained for. The Dominion thinks they've learned our tactics, but they're about to discover that humans are anything but predictable." The human fleet waited in formation near Jupiter's orbit. They were outnumbered 5 to 1, but numbers hadn't saved the Dominion before. As the enemy ships emerged from hyperspace, Project Blackout was activated. The effect was immediate and devastating. Dominion ships, suddenly cut off from their central command, began moving erratically. Their perfectly coordinated battle formations fell into chaos. The aliens had never trained for independent action, their entire military doctrine relied on synchronized attacks controlled by their command ships. "Now," Miller ordered. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta." The human fleet split into smaller strike teams, each targeting confused enemy vessels. The Thor protocol, now refined and more powerful than ever, tore through Dominion ships with surgical precision. But humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, it was their ability to think and adapt independently. Lieutenant Anna Wilson, commanding a squadron of smaller attack craft, demonstrated this perfectly. When her team's original target was destroyed, she didn't wait for new orders. Instead, she recognized an opportunity to strike at an exposed enemy command ship and took the initiative. Her quick thinking resulted in the destruction of one of the Dominion's most advanced vessels. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Initiative was already preparing the next phase of humanity's response. They had learned that the Dominion's empire was built on fear and technological superiority. Take away either of those advantages, and their entire civilization would begin to crumble. Dr. Reed's team had started broadcasting messages to other species under Dominion control, sharing the weaknesses they had discovered in Dominion technology. The response was immediate, uprising began on dozens of worlds as other races realized their oppressors weren't invincible. The battle near Jupiter became known as the breaking point, the moment when the Dominion realized they had made a catastrophic mistake. Their losses were staggering, over 200 ships destroyed, thousands of their best warriors killed, and their aura of invincibility shattered. But the true horror for the Dominion was yet to come. As their surviving ships retreated, they discovered that humanity had no intention of simply defending their territory. The human fleet, led by the Retribution, followed them back through hyperspace. "Send word to every human ship and colony," Admiral Kane announced. "Phase 2 begins now. The Dominion wanted war, we'll give them a war they'll never forget. Every planet they attacked, every life they took, will be answered for." In his private quarters, Miller reviewed the casualty reports from the battle. Human losses were significant, but acceptable given the scale of their victory. More importantly, every engagement provided new data, new opportunities to improve their weapons and tactics. "They still don't understand," he wrote in his log. "The Dominion thinks this is about territory or resources. They don't realize that they've awakened something that can't be stopped with mere military might. Humanity isn't fighting for conquest, we're fighting to ensure that no species ever again threatens our existence." The next stage of the war would take humanity into Dominion space itself. Earth's factories were producing ships at an unprecedented rate, each one incorporating new improvements based on combat experience. Volunteers continued to flood recruitment centers, driven by a combination of vengeance and determination. The species that the Dominion had dismissed as primitive was now bringing their empire to its knees. But this was more than just a military victory, it was a fundamental shift in the balance of power among the stars. The message was clear: humanity would not only survive, but they would reshape the galaxy to ensure their safety. The Dominion had wanted war, and now they would face the full consequences of their choice. 6 months into the war, humanity's counteroffensive had penetrated deep into Dominion space. The aliens who had once threatened Earth now found themselves desperately defending their own core worlds. But their worst nightmare was yet to come. Humans weren't just winning battles, they were dismantling the entire Dominion system. Admiral Kane stood before the United Earth Council, presenting the latest strategic assessment. The Dominion's strength was always built on fear and control. Now that we've broken both, their empire is collapsing from within. 23 slave species have already risen up against them. On the front lines, the Retribution led a task force toward Helios Prime, one of the Dominion's most important military production centers. Captain Miller had studied the reports from their newly liberated allies, former slave species who now saw humans as their best hope for freedom. They built their empire on the backs of others, Miller told his crew during the pre-battle briefing. Now those others are giving us everything we need to tear it down. Fleet positions, defense codes, supply routes, the Dominion's greatest strength has become their greatest weakness. Dr. Reed's latest innovation was about to demonstrate this perfectly. Project Phoenix, as it was called, turned the Dominion's own automated defense systems against them. As the human fleet approached Helios Prime, the planet's orbital platforms, instead of firing at Earth's ships, began targeting their own creators. Their arrogance is their downfall, Dr. Reed explained to his team. They never imagined anyone could hack their quantum-encrypted systems, so they never built in manual overrides. Their defense grid is now our defense grid. The battle for Helios Prime lasted less than 6 hours. The Dominion forces, caught between the human fleet and their own corrupted defenses, fought with the desperation of a cornered animal. But desperation was no match for careful planning and calculated revenge. Lieutenant Wilson, now commanding her own cruiser, the Defiant, led the ground assault teams. The ship's name proved prophetic as she defied conventional tactical wisdom, using the chaos of the space battle as cover to slip through gaps in the Dominion's remaining defenses. "All assault teams, prepare for deployment," she ordered. "Remember your training. The Dominion thinks their ground forces are superior. Let's show them how humans fight when we're on their doorstep." The ground battle revealed another crucial difference between humans and their enemies. Dominion soldiers, used to fighting weaker, poorly equipped slave species, had grown complacent. They had forgotten what it meant to face an enemy who fought with both technology and determination. Human drop troops, wearing powered armor reverse-engineered from captured Dominion tech but enhanced with uniquely human innovations, tore through the alien defenses. Each suit contained a neural interface that allowed the wearer to react at superhuman speeds, a technology the Dominion had never perfected because they considered lesser species incapable of handling such advanced systems. As Helios Prime fell, the impact rippled through the Dominion Empire. Their supposedly invincible military production center had been captured intact, its resources and technology now in human hands. But more importantly, the myth of Dominion's superiority had been shattered completely. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Initiative was already planning the next phase. They had discovered something in the captured Dominion databases, evidence of an even greater atrocity. The Dominion hadn't just enslaved other species, they had systematically destroyed any civilization that showed too much potential. "They've done this before," Admiral Kane informed the Council, his voice heavy with controlled anger. "Earth wasn't their first target. They've been eliminating potential rivals for thousands of years. Any species that developed too quickly, showed too much promise, they were deemed a threat and eliminated." The revelation transformed the war. What had started as self-defense was now becoming a crusade for justice. Humanity wasn't just fighting for their own survival anymore, they were fighting to ensure no other species would suffer the same fate. Dr. Reed's team made another crucial discovery in the Helios Prime databases. The Dominion's leadership had a secret fallback position, a heavily fortified system where they planned to retreat if their empire ever faced true defeat. They never expected that information to fall into enemy hands. "Send word to all fleets," Admiral Kane ordered. "Operation Thunderbolt begins in 72 hours. The Dominion leadership thought they could hide from the consequences of their actions. They're about to learn that humanity's reach is longer than they imagined." Captain Miller, studying the battle plans aboard the Retribution, felt a grim satisfaction. The next phase would take them deep into what the Dominion considered absolutely secure space. The aliens who had so casually threatened Earth with extinction were about to learn the true meaning of fear. They wanted war, he wrote in his final log entry before the operation began. They thought they were the apex predators of the galaxy. Now they're learning what happens when you corner a species that has spent its entire history fighting and surviving. Humanity isn't just winning this war, we're rewriting the rules of galactic civilization. The Dominion's leadership, hidden in their secret fortress, were about to discover that there was nowhere in the galaxy they could hide from humanity's justice. The liberated species watched in awe as their former oppressors retreated before the human advance. Many had already pledged their support to Earth, seeing in humanity a protector rather than a conqueror. The galaxy was changing, and at its heart was a species that had gone from being unknown to reshaping the future of interstellar civilization. Operation Thunderbolt began with the largest fleet deployment in human history. 500 ships, led by the Retribution, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Dominion's secret sanctuary system. The massive fleet represented not just Earth's power, but the combined strength of 24 liberated species who had joined humanity's cause. Deep within the Retribution's command center, Captain Miller studied the tactical display. The Dominion leadership had chosen their hiding place well, a solar system surrounded by a dense asteroid field, protected by automated defense platforms and gravity disruption technology that made conventional hyperspace approaches almost impossible. "Almost impossible isn't the same as impossible," Miller told his command staff. Dr. Reed's team found something interesting in the Helios Prime data. The Dominion's own survey ships mapped safe passages through this system. "They never imagined we'd get those maps." Admiral Kane's voice crackled through the quantum comm. "All ships, commence Phase 1. Remember, we want their leadership alive if possible. They need to face justice for every species they've destroyed, every civilization they've erased." Dr. Reed, now coordinating from a mobile command center aboard the science vessel, Discovery, had prepared something special for this battle. Project Helios, named after the facility where they'd acquired the crucial data, was ready for deployment. The Dominion based their entire civilization on the idea that they were superior, Reed explained to the fleet commanders. Project Helios proves them wrong in the most fundamental way. We've not only matched their technology, we've exceeded it. As the human fleet advanced, they encountered the first line of Dominion defenses. Massive automated platforms, each bristling with weapons, activated and began targeting the approaching ships. But humanity had faced these defenses before, and they'd learned. Lieutenant Wilson, her ship Defiant now leading a special operations group, executed the first phase of the attack. Her ships released swarms of autonomous drones, each carrying a modified version of the virus that had proven so effective at Helios Prime. "Defiant to all ships, Project Phoenix is active," she reported. 3, 2, 1. The defense platforms suddenly fell silent, their weapons powering down. Then, one by one, they began turning their massive guns toward the Dominion's own positions. The aliens had built their defenses to be impenetrable, never considering that their own arrogance would be their undoing. But the Dominion leadership hadn't survived for millennia by being completely unprepared. As the human fleet pushed deeper into the system, they encountered something new, ships unlike anything they'd seen before. The Dominion's secret weapon, held in reserve for exactly this kind of existential threat. "All ships, battle formations," Miller ordered as the new threat emerged. "They think their superweapons will save them. Show them what humanity does to bullies who bring out their biggest guns." The battle that followed would be remembered as one of the most intense of the entire war. The Dominion's elite ships, utilizing technology they'd kept hidden from even their own military, proved to be formidable opponents. But humanity had learned to turn the aliens' greatest strength, their technological superiority, into a weakness. Dr. Reed's Project Helios revealed its true nature. It wasn't just a weapon or a defense system, it was a complete understanding of how Dominion technology worked at its most fundamental level. Every shot they fired, every shield they raised, provided more data for the human fleet to adapt and counter. "They never understood," Reed commented as he watched the battle unfold. "True advancement isn't about having the most powerful weapons. It's about understanding how to use what you have, how to adapt, how to overcome. That's what humanity does best." The Dominion's secret fleet fought with desperate fury, but they were facing an enemy that had spent every moment since first contact preparing for this battle. Human ships, their crews hardened by months of warfare, methodically dismantled the alien defenses. The Thor protocol, now refined to unprecedented levels of effectiveness, proved particularly devastating against the Dominion's supposedly superior vessels. As the battle reached its peak, Captain Miller led the Retribution through a gap in the enemy formation, driving straight toward the hidden space station where the Dominion leadership had taken refuge. The massive station, built into an asteroid, represented everything the Dominion stood for: hidden power, absolute authority, and the belief that they could never be touched. They thought they could judge which species deserved to live or die, Miller transmitted to the fleet. They thought they had the right to play gods. "Today, we show them that humanity doesn't bow to false gods, we break them." Admiral Kane coordinated the final phase of the attack from his flagship. The combined human and allied fleet executed a maneuver that would have been impossible months ago, a synchronized strike that trapped the remaining Dominion ships in a web of overlapping fire zones, while special operations teams led by Lieutenant Wilson breached the station's outer defenses. Inside the station, the Dominion leadership faced a terror they had never imagined possible. The species they had dismissed as primitive was systematically dismantling everything they had built, everything they had believed about their own superiority. Humanity stood on the verge of a victory that would reshape the galaxy. The Dominion's leadership was cornered, their secret weapons had failed, and their empire was crumbling. But more importantly, the other species of the galaxy were watching, learning a crucial lesson: the true measure of a civilization wasn't its technology or its age, but its determination and its moral character. "Send word to Earth," Admiral Kane ordered as the station's outer defenses fell. "Tell them Phase 4 is complete. The final assault begins in 12 hours. The Dominion wanted war, now they'll face judgment for every crime they've committed against sentient life in this galaxy." The final assault on the Dominion leadership stronghold began exactly 12 hours after the outer defenses fell. In those 12 hours, humanity had demonstrated another trait that the Dominion had never understood: mercy. They had offered the alien leadership one last chance to surrender and face fair trial for their crimes against sentient species. The Dominion's response was typical of their arrogance: they threatened to activate a doomsday device that would destroy the entire system, along with everyone in it. They still didn't understand who they were dealing with. "All ships, commence final approach." Captain Miller's voice was steady as he gave the order. The Retribution led the assault, its hull bearing the scars of countless battles that had led to this moment. The Dominion thinks they can threaten their way out of justice. Show them why that was their last mistake. Dr. Reed's team had spent the brief respite analyzing the station's energy signatures. What they found confirmed their worst fears, and provided an unexpected opportunity. "The doomsday device is real," Reed reported to Admiral Kane. "But they're using the same quantum technology that powers all their systems. Project Helios can shut it down, but we'll need to get close, very close." Lieutenant Wilson's special operations teams were already in position. The Defiant had managed to dock with the station during the chaos of the previous battle, its presence hidden by technology reverse-engineered from captured Dominion stealth systems. "Ground teams in position," Wilson reported. "We've identified the central control room. The Dominion leadership is barricaded inside, but they've made a critical error. They're using their own automated defense systems to protect themselves." Admiral Kane gave the order that would begin the final phase of humanity's response to the Dominion's aggression. "All units, execute Operation Judgment. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for every species these tyrants have murdered, enslaved, or threatened." The assault unfolded with precision that would have been impossible months ago. Human forces had learned, adapted, and evolved. The Dominion's remaining defenders found themselves facing an enemy that knew their technology better than they did. Project Helios proved its worth one final time. As the Dominion leaders attempted to activate their doomsday device, they discovered that their commands were being rerouted, their systems turning against them just as they had turned against so many others. "I don't think they ever really understood warfare," Miller observed as he watched the operation unfold. "They thought it was about having the biggest weapons, the strongest shields. They never learned what every human soldier knows: wars are won by determination, adaptation, and the will to protect what matters." The station's internal defenses, supposedly impenetrable, fell to Wilson's teams in less than an hour. The human soldiers, their armor now incorporating both Dominion technology and unique human innovations, moved through the station like ghosts. Every security measure, every trapped corridor, every automated defense had already been analyzed and countered. Dr. Reed, monitoring from the Discovery, provided real-time updates as the Dominion systems were systematically shut down. "They built their entire civilization on the idea that their technology made them untouchable," he commented. "They never considered that someone might not just copy their technology, but improve it." The final breach of the control room was almost anticlimactic. The Dominion leadership, creatures who had ordered the death of countless civilizations, found themselves faced with human soldiers who showed more honor in victory than the aliens had ever shown in conquest. "In the name of Earth and all the species you have wronged," Admiral Kane's voice echoed through the captured station, "you are hereby placed under arrest. You will face trial for crimes against sentient life, with representatives from every species you have harmed serving as witnesses." As the Dominion leaders were led away in custody, Captain Miller walked through the station's central command center. The screens showed the status of an empire in collapse, worlds rising in rebellion, slave species claiming their freedom, and the few remaining loyal forces surrendering to the human fleet. "Send word to every ship, every world," Miller ordered. "The war is over. The Dominion's leadership is in custody. Their empire is finished. But our work is just beginning." The aftermath of the war would reshape the galaxy. Earth, once dismissed as a primitive backwater, became the center of a new interstellar alliance. The liberated species, grateful for their freedom, looked to humanity not as conquerors but as protectors who understood the responsibility that came with power. The Dominion leaders faced justice in a trial that lasted 3 months. Representatives from over 50 species presented evidence of atrocities spanning thousands of years. The verdict was unanimous: guilty of crimes against sentient life on an unprecedented scale. But even in victory, humanity demonstrated why they were different from those they had defeated. The punishment was not death or enslavement, but permanent imprisonment and the requirement to help rebuild what they had destroyed. The Dominion's advanced technology would be used to restore worlds they had ravaged, to heal species they had harmed. They wanted war, Admiral Kane said in his address to the newly formed Galactic Council. They thought they could judge who deserved to live and who deserved to die. Instead, they learned that humanity fights not just for survival, but for justice. We fight not just to win, but to protect. And most importantly, we fight to ensure that no species ever again faces the threat of extinction for daring to advance. 1 year after the war's end, Captain Miller stood on the bridge of the Retribution once more, but now his mission was different. The ship led a task force dedicated to exploration and protection, ensuring that newly discovered species would have the chance to develop without fear of conquest or extinction. They never understood what they awakened, he wrote in his final log entry. They thought they were starting a war. Instead, they caused the birth of something new, a galaxy where strength serves justice, where power protects the weak, and where humanity stands ready to ensure that the crimes of the past are never repeated. The stars looked different now, full of possibility rather than threat. Humanity had been forced into war, but they had emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had become what the galaxy needed, not conquerors, not tyrants, but guardians of a new age of peace and justice among the stars.